Hey guys, just wanted to do a short video today about the Philippines versus Belize for retirement, because a lot of these are mentioned. A lot of times they're both mentioned in magazines and stuff like that as really good retirement places. um, Belize is a little bit different than the Philippines in a lot of different ways. It's about the size of the state of Massachusetts in the United States. It has about 325 to 350,000 people that live there. About the size of a good size, well, small city. Um, the differences are really kind of big, and the money is different. You have pesos, and of course you have dollars in Belize, and for every $1 in U.S. dollar in Belize, you get $2 Belize. Okay, and in the Philippines, you get like 51 or 52 pesos for every dollar at the time of today. The differences are kind of unique. The biggest ones that I've noticed in Belize, because I've been to Belize, I've been there, I've spent a long time there, and, many summers I've vacationed there, is that Belize is very clean and they're very ecologically watchful about things there. The pollution is very little compared to the Philippines. If you go to a stream or something like that, even in the cities, for the most part, they're pretty clean compared to the Philippines. I mean, they get a little dirty. You see some trash floating down in Belize City, in Belize. But in the Philippines, one thing I noticed is there's a lot of trash, even out in the country, that people just throw all their trash in the river or whatever. And then they just don't pay much attention to their trash here as much as they do in Belize. Now, here's where the differences come. The differences are money. Rents are higher in Belize in some places. Some places it's fairly cheap. Living conditions are okay. It depends what you're looking for. You can rent all different types of things in Belize. I mean, from a shack to a decent house. For a small studio shack in Belize, you're in like San Ignacio or something like that, you're probably going to pay about 150 US, 200 US for something like that with a bathroom and maybe a little bit more depending on the conditions of the place. I'm talking about an older place. You can get something fairly reasonable and cheap, and not to our standards, not to US standards. If you're looking for US standards, you're going to pay a lot more in Belize. Rents are a little bit higher. For you to live in Belize comfortably, you'd need a good 2,500, 3,000 US to survive there. And in the Philippines, you could survive on as little as like 1,000. Now I'm talking about a single person. In Belize, you tend to do a little bit more traveling and stuff like that because everything's kind of far away. The buses are fairly reasonable and cheap. Food's pretty expensive. It's almost US prices. They kind of double the prices of US. There's no McDonald's. There's no fast food places there in Belize at all. They don't have KFC. They don't have Burger King. They don't have Wendy's. They don't have malls. They don't have any of that in Belize. Okay, you have to go to Mexico for that. It kind of makes it fun, because you get to go on like little road trips and stuff like that once a month to go up to Mexico and get some food or something like that. But if you're getting any cold food, you have to take an ice box with you and take that, carry that with you on the bus and load it on the bus and take it back with you, which is kind of a hassle. You can go to Walmart. There is a Walmart in Mexico, really close to the border. In the Philippines, you can go to the mall and you can find just about anything you need. Usually there's a mall close by if you live in a city. If you're in the provinces, obviously you guys have to travel a little bit. The Philippines is unique compared to Belize because you have 7,200 and something islands here in the Philippines, and each island is unique. It's almost like a country all by itself, kind of, because each island some have their own languages or dialects or whatever you want to call it. And some some are poor and some are rich and some have cities and some don't. So you can kind of choose your lifestyle in the Philippines. And each island also has their own economy. And each province has their own economy in Luzon. And the differences are huge. Like, because if you live in Manila, you need American style. You need an American style budget basically to survive in Manila, to live decent and to live like a Western lifestyle. Now I live in Tracy Martires in Cavite province, and it's one of the cheaper places to live here because I've done videos on, my apartment before. You guys have probably seen some of them, and I pay $60 a month. I have everything I need in here, and I live by Western standards. I don't have any bugs in the house. I don't. Once in a while a gecko gets in the house or something like that, but the spiders and ants and stuff like that, I don't see too many of them, which you see in most Filipino houses here, because they don't put the door sweeps on. I put all that on. I've sealed the windows pretty decent and doors and stuff like that, and I take care of that. In Belize, you don't have too many problems with insects there. You think you would, but you don't. I think in the Philippines we have a lot more ants here, and a lot. It seems like a lot more spiders here too. Now, I'm not gonna say that that's not the same in Belize. Belize has some poisonous spiders too. I believe they have the brown recluse and a couple of other poisonous spiders, and I believe they have some more poisonous snakes there than the Philippines does. Philippines, you rarely see any really snakes here. Maybe in the provinces you do. The people in Belize are really, really nice people, and it's where you go. And if you're out on Key Cocker or you're out on a place like that, or San Pedro, the people kind of change. They're a little bit more gritty. There's people that are friendly there too, don't get me wrong. But they're a little bit, when you get to know them, they're a little bit more gritty. Almost kind of like it's hard to explain. It's like an English gritty, I guess, because they used to be British Honduras before, and they have like this grittiness about them. But it's not like that everywhere throughout Belize. I mean, if you go inland to San Ignacio, or you go to Dangriga, or places like Dangriga's like a ghetto. It's a ghetto, but the people there are fairly nice. It's but it's not a place you'd want to live, for sure. I can guarantee you that. There's other places like Orange Walk and some small towns that are really, really nice in Belize. They're gorgeous places to stay. And the same goes for the Philippines. The Philippines has Baguio, and we have Cebu, and all these, this each town has its own flavor and personality. And if you want a Western style lifestyle, you probably want to be around expats and where they cater to expats more, like Cebu. If you're looking for cheaper lifestyle, I would say move to Cavite. Cavite has a lot of malls. There's different places you can stay. You can stay like in a gated community for like probably $200 or less. US, depending on whether you want a 2-bedroom or 3-bedroom. And if you want something really high quality, you're gonna pay a lot more for, like a huge house. But that's for somebody that has a lot of money, and that's what they're looking for. Now, for me, I was happy finding a $60 place, and it had a big bedroom. We divided the room into two, and we fixed it the way we wanted to. And we have all the Western things here, like AC, refrigerator, stove, microwave, everything. We have a regular standard US toilet. We have regular furniture here that we bought from the furniture maker across the street. In Belize, it's a lot of stuff has to be handcrafted or shipped in. So it's like one or the other. So a lot of people choose to get the handcrafted in Belize, but you have to find the people that are willing to make it for you. Okay. And yeah, they do a good job there, and the craftsmanship is pretty decent there. You can rent places furnished there too in Belize. It's a little bit more expensive out on the islands than it is inland. You're gonna pay good money out on Key Cocker for, a rental there. I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to pay really high money. Same with San Pedro, you're going to pay big bucks, you know. What is big bucks? It's been a while. It's been a few years since I've been there, but I would guess probably you're going to pay, like, for a furnished place, you're probably going to pay $1,000 to $2,000 a month out on the islands for a decent place, what I consider decent, okay, with some place with AC or something like that. And it's not going to be huge. It's going to be like a small shack or something like that. You know, I mean, you can find some cheaper, put your own AC in there and do some of the stuff yourself, and you can probably get a little bit cheaper. But out on Key Cocker, you know, you're going to be hard pressed to find a cheap place there. Inland, you know, in Belize City, you can get a little bit cheaper. Belize City is not the safest place at night to be walking around, they say. I've never had any problems there. I've been in and out of there around nighttime and never had any issues, but they say it's not safe at night. San Ignacio is really, they call it Cayo. Some people call it Cayo, I believe it's something that's the nickname of it, whatever. Anyway, San Ignacio is right on the Guatemalan border, and they have a lot of Guatemalan people, and they're really, really nice people. I have many friends there even to this day, and I love them to death, all of them, you know, and they're just really, really good people, really nice people. If you're looking to go to Belize to settle down, and you know, you want to find a decent girl, I would say San Ignacio is your place to go. And they have a lot of Amish people there. They have a lot of the Mennonites that go there. Haircuts are fairly reasonable. They have restaurants right on the common. It's kind of a nice place. They have really good restaurants there too, and they have Western food there. So that's the other thing. Belize has a lot of fun things you can do there, and you can live a cheap lifestyle there if you live inland, okay? And if you like going to the ocean a lot, you could probably do a weekend out on Key Cocker or something like that at a cheap place out there. They have reasonable accommodations out there you can stay at. And you have to remember, when they post stuff down there, the prices are most of the time it's in Belize dollars, okay? So if they post something at $100 a night, it's $50 a night. If it's 50, it's 25 US, okay? Because $1 equals 2 Belize dollars, okay? So remember that when you're going online and you're Googling, you know, like the islands down there or whatever. Traveling there, south gets more rain, north gets less rain, okay? It's kind of funny for a small country that the weather changes there are quite drastic. During the rainy season in the south, they get a lot of rain, okay? And up north, it's a little bit drier. You still get rain, but not as much. You're really close to Guatemala, even when you're in Belize City. You're only like a few hours away, so it's not a big travel thing to go over to Guatemala or whatever. And Guatemala's not the safest place to go, but it's fairly safe. It's okay, you know. I'd say Belize is about just as unsafe as Guatemala, but when I say that, I think there's places in Guatemala that are way more dangerous than Belize. Belize, I never felt threatened. I never felt like somebody was going to rob me. I never felt, you know, in danger or anything like that traveling around. In fact, I felt quite safe that, you know, that there is a problem in Belize with hospitals, okay, and getting health care there. Health care is very limited. It's not that great. It's very hard to get a decent insurance there, okay? That's the other thing. You're probably better off going to Mexico or go over to Guatemala for your health care, okay? And you better hope that you get an American doctor that speaks, you know, English or something like that too. So that's the other issue that you have. Like I said, people there are great in Belize. They really are. And the Philippines also, same thing. Philippines, we have a lot of great people. And you're going to run into scammers in Belize. You're going to run into scammers in the Philippines. So, you know, let me put that out there right now, that's a huge difference. You know, it's well, not a huge difference. It's a huge similarity between the two, is they both have their share of scammers. Okay, but the women in Belize are more upfront and forward, more so than people in the Philippines. They'll tell you where the dog died, you know, and they don't mean to be rude or anything like that. It's just kind of the way it is there, especially out on the islands. I don't think it's that way inland, okay? Because as you go inland and get closer to Guatemala, the people become more calmer and more peaceful. And I think the people out on the islands, they're kind of laid back, but there's like a grittiness out there. And if you stay out there long enough, and I've been out there long enough, I've spent at least 6 months on that island in total, probably over the past decade or more. And the grittiness shows through after you get to know them, for sure. But yet the grittiness is not. I won't say it's a bad thing. The people there are just rough and tough from living on the ocean and having to go fishing all the time, and run a business, and the business slows down during the slow season, and they learn to live. They're kind of like Filipinos. They can survive with very little money, and they have their rice and they have their fish and they go fishing, and if they don't catch fish, they just eat their rice, and it's poverty stricken. It's a poor country. It's not a wealthy country. There's the good thing about Belize is the restaurants there all are fairly decent. They're fairly clean. I would say they're cleaner than some places in the Philippines, but Philippines, if you go to a mall, they're all clean. Okay. And like I said, ecologically, Belize is way better than the Philippines as far as the cleanliness of the ocean water, pollution, things like that. There's not as many people burning trash. They have their own dumps. It's much cleaner. People there sweep the streets and stuff like that. Where in the Philippines, some people don't, and people just throw the trash. I see people walking along and they throw their Coke can on the ground like it's nothing in the Philippines. And some towns are different in the Philippines, so don't get me wrong in that. It's just something that I notice in the Philippines, that people don't worry about their trash as much. And I'm not trying to knock my host country because I live here. I'm saying that it's just something that they could do better here. Is the people should be more have a better mindset about their trash. Because in the Philippines, in Belize, that's one thing that I never saw anything on the streets there. I never saw trash out on the islands or San Pedro, or even in San Ignacio. I never seen any people throw trash on their streets or whatever. It was always clean. People swept their streets, in Belize. They wanted their houses to look good. They kept their houses up fairly decent. They trimmed things. They were proud of the inside of their houses more. Philippines, yeah, people have pride in their houses to a certain extent, but I don't think the cleanliness is maybe it has to do with the poverty here. There's more poverty in the Philippines than there is in Belize, because in Belize I think there's more jobs there and there's less people unemployed there. Maybe in Dangriga there's a lot more poverty, but like cost wise, definitely the Philippines is the way to go. Double your cost if you go to Belize, okay? Because if you can live here for 1,000, and you can live here for a lot cheaper than 1,000, if you probably like around 800 and still have insurance costs covered. That's for one person. And living in a $60 home like me. And in Belize, you're going to pay way more than that. You're going to need at least $2,000 a month to live, probably in San Ignacio, one of the inland towns. I wouldn't live in Belize City. I'd stay away from Belize City. I'd go to the outer towns and rent something out there. And transportation is harder to get in Belize because you have to get buses or walk. There's not as many taxis around, except if you're in Belize City or something like that. In San Ignacio, yeah, they have taxis there. It's basically everybody kind of foots it, and you kind of get used to walking around in San Ignacio, and it's not a bad, it's actually good for you. It's you don't mind walking there because there's a lot of things to see. You know, and it's kind of beautiful there. There's rolling hills and stuff like that. And there is, there. Don't get me wrong. Now there is some pollution in Belize inland because people burn, they slash and burn. You know, they have slash and burn out in the woods and stuff like that, and they burn fields and stuff like that sometimes. So you get a lot of pollution from some of these other areas. And San Ignacio has it, and the temperatures can be really, really high and really, really hot in Belize too. Okay, sometimes hotter than the Philippines. Okay, so, and it's a lot more humid, I think, in Belize than in the Philippines. Philippines has a kind of a, people say it's hot and it's sticky here. I think it's hotter and stickier in Belize from what I remember. But that's about it, guys. I mean, that's about all I can really tell you about the two. If you have any questions or comments or anything, you can always leave them for me, and I'll give you a straight answer, you know, if I know the answer. If you have any questions about Belize or the Philippines, you always feel free to, you know, just shoot me a question on here on YouTube. Okay? Be sure to subscribe, guys, and I'll be doing some more videos. I might do another video, actually, about Belize, a little bit more about Belize, probably in the future, probably within the coming 6 months, if I get a lot of response to this here. I always do stuff on the Philippines, but if you have any things that you want me to cover in a video that you think might take 10 or 20 minutes to discuss, feel free to leave a comment on the bottom, and I'll try to do a video on it, you know, and I'll let you know. I can even do a video like the next day sometimes if I'm free. So I mean, let me know if you have any questions or anything, and we'll try to get to it. But be sure to subscribe, guys. Thanks, guys.